I grew up on a boarding school campus in Massachusetts. My father was an English teacher. Hi, Dad. And my mother was a teacher as well. And as it turns out, both my sisters, I have two older sisters, and they both majored in theater in college and so on. And then they got out and did assorted jobs and have now gone into teaching themselves. So.
Some actors don't just act, they haunt the screen. Benicio del Toro moves through Hollywood like a ghost on his own wavelength, mysterious and unpredictable. Then there's Tilda Swinton, glowing with an energy that feels straight out of another universe, like she accidentally wandered in from a dream. And then we get to James Spader. Oh, this man is in a league of his own. He built an entire career out of playing the kind of people your therapist might call emotionally dangerous. While other stars chased roles as heroes or heartthrobs, Spader dove deep into the strange and twisted, characters who are slick, smart, and just a little bit unsettling. We're digging into the fascinating world of James Spader, how he mastered the art of playing the unpredictable, why he's always thrived on the edges of Hollywood, and what keeps him so drawn to characters who live in those murky moral gray zones. So let's dim the lights and dive right in. James Todd Spader, born in Boston back in 1960, came from a family of teachers.
My father was an English teacher. Hi, Dad. And my mother was a teacher as well.
But this man was destined to teach Hollywood something entirely different. This part of Spader's story really says a lot. It paints a picture of a home where intelligence wasn't just encouraged, it was the family's currency. Ideas flowed like conversation at dinner, and curiosity was the norm. He even attended Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts. Yeah, that Phillips Academy. The kind of elite prep school that practically ships its graduates straight to the Ivy League, and from there into powerful careers with shiny titles and corner offices. But at just 17, Spader did something totally unexpected. He dropped out. Instead of following the safe golden path, he chased the chaos of New York City to become an actor.
I left Andover when I was 17, moved to New York, and ended up driving a meat truck, actually. That was my college, was the college of part-time jobs. Ended up doing a lot of different jobs, shoveling manure at the Claremont Riding Academy, a great stable, actually.
That bold decision became the first major twist in his story. Forget the Ivy League. He was grinding through real life, teaching yoga, driving trucks, even working as a stable boy. These weren't the cushy gigs his prep school friends were getting. This was sweat, dirt, and survival. By the early 80s, all that grit started paying off. Spader began landing film roles that showcased his magnetic stare and that slick upper-class charm the camera couldn't resist. The Brat Pack was blowing up, and he had the perfect look and age to fit right in, but somehow he always stayed on the edge of their world, close enough to touch the fame, but too complex to blend in. Back in '87, James Spader started carving out his signature style. He played Vice President Richards in Turfed, a slick, smarmy executive who oozed privilege and arrogance. He wasn't just playing the bad guy. He was the face of corporate entitlement, almost cartoonishly perfect at being awful. Then came Pretty in Pink, where Spader gave us Steph, the smug, rich prep who crushed people's hearts just for fun. These early roles weren't subtle, but they built a clear image. Spader was that dangerously charming man everyone loved to despise. Then came Oliver Stone's Wall Street, where Spader added his own mysterious twist. You could never quite read him. Every glance felt like he was hiding a secret. But the real game changer hit in 1987 with Less Than Zero. Spader played a drug dealer so calm and casual about destruction that it sent chills down your spine. He didn't just play dark characters, he understood them. And then in 1989, everything exploded when Steven Soderbergh's debut film, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, dropped at Sundance and won the Palme d'Or. Spader's role as Graham Dalton, a drifting man who could only connect by recording women's confessions, was haunting. He wasn't loud or cruel, just quietly broken, exposing a darker side of masculinity, one that hides behind intellect and avoids real emotion. Graham, Spader's character, lived inside his own carefully built illusion, a system that let him pretend to be close to people while keeping his emotions completely locked away. Spader's performance wasn't loud or showy. It was a quiet explosion. Every small pause, every soft line hinted at a storm underneath. His voice was calm, almost tender, which only made the character's emotional damage feel even more disturbing.
Friends are always a strange group of characters, and I've always been attracted towards the stranger the better.
That performance didn't just impress critics, it shook them. Spader walked away with the Best Actor award at Cannes, and at just 29 years old, he wasn't just a rising star, he was officially an artist. But here's the twist. This success didn't send him chasing blockbuster fame or glossy magazine covers. Instead, it validated what he already knew deep down. His strength was in playing the unsettling, the complicated, the morally tangled souls most actors avoided. Hollywood finally saw what made Spader different. His raw intensity, razor-sharp intelligence, and fearless ability to step right into the uncomfortable spaces most people run from. Sex, Lies, and Videotape didn't just mark a milestone for him, it helped reshape American indie cinema. It proved that deep, character-driven stories about messy human emotions could win big. And for Spader, it was more than success. It was permission to keep making audiences squirm. Spader's work tapped into the corners of the human mind most people don't want to face. After Sex, Lies, and Videotape, he could have easily cashed in, taken on charming leads in rom-coms or flashy studio hits. But nope. Spader wasn't chasing comfort or crowd pleasers. Instead, he doubled down on the strange and the layered, choosing roles that let him dig into power games, obsession, and identity like he was dissecting human behavior itself. He'd found his lane, and he was ready to own it. Take White Palace from 1990. Spader played Max, a stiff, emotionally bottled-up widower who falls for an older, working-class waitress. The chemistry was raw, messy, and real. Max wasn't a typical romantic hero. He was repressed, wounded, and flawed, but human in a way that felt painfully authentic. You could see Spader starting to peel back emotional layers most actors wouldn't even touch. By this point, a pattern had formed. Spader would always chase the psychologically twisted over the safe and the morally clean. The more uncomfortable the character, the more alive he seemed on screen. Forget the standard good guy routine. Spader was too fascinated by what happens when good and bad blur together. In Bad Influence, 1990, he played Michael, a mild-mannered analyst whose life spirals out of control after a dangerous friendship with Rob Lowe's character. It was another dive into chaos, and Spader made it look magnetic. Alex, the smooth-talking drifter with a dark streak, was pure danger wrapped in charm, and Spader nailed it. In Bad Influence, you could literally feel Michael's quiet unraveling, that slow slide into chaos. You understood exactly why he got pulled in, even though every warning sign was flashing red. Then, in Dream Lover, 1993, Spader flipped the dynamic completely. This time, he played the one losing control. His character becomes obsessed with his new wife, only to discover she might be the one playing him. The story turns into a twisted dance of suspicion and desire, watching love morph into paranoia and control. These roles weren't just thrillers, they were psychological deep dives. Spader used them to explore how people build fake versions of themselves to get what they want, showing that everyone's performance hides something darker underneath. His characters were never just victims or villains. They were both, manipulator and manipulated, hunter and hunted.
When I look for a role, I don't look for whether this is a villain or whether this is a good guy and whether, people are going to react negatively towards him or whether he's going to be sympathetic or so on. I look for something that, I look for a character that I have questioned. There are questions in the character that I'm interested in answering. And through the course of developing this
And what made his work stand out from all the other steamy thrillers of the era was his sharp intelligence. He wasn't just acting, he was showing us how the mind breaks down in real time. Then came Stargate in 1994, the movie that finally pushed him into mainstream success. It was his closest brush with full-blown Hollywood hero status. Playing Dr. Daniel Jackson, a brilliant linguist who helps unlock an interstellar portal, Spader brought brains and vulnerability to the role. Even next to Kurt Russell's tough-as-nails military energy, he stood out as the genius who didn't need muscles to steal the scene. In Stargate, Spader showed a softer side, curious, warm, and almost innocent, a version of him we'd rarely see again. But here's the wild part. Most actors would have used that success as a launchpad straight into blockbuster fame. Not Spader. He treated Stargate like a quick side quest, gave Hollywood a polite smile, and then walked right back into the strange, risky, and morally messy roles that fascinated him most. The early 90s were the golden era of erotic thrillers, and Spader quietly became one of its most intriguing figures. These weren't fancy Oscar films. They were glossy, dangerous genre stories designed to tease and shock. But Spader didn't play them cheap. He injected them with real psychological tension, turning simple thrillers into complex explorations of human desire and control. Then came Crash with David Cronenberg, a film that pushed Spader's fascination with sexuality and danger to its absolute limit. He played a TV director who, after a brutal car accident, becomes entangled with a group of people aroused by collisions and scars. The material was dark, taboo, and deeply unsettling, but Spader approached it like a surgeon, cool and precise, making every scene even more disturbing because he never flinched. By the late 90s, he was still surprising audiences, popping up in Keys to Tulsa, reminding everyone that no matter how strange or risky the story got, Spader was always game to go deeper. By the late 90s, Spader was everywhere, appearing in Driftwood, The Offbeat Duo, Critical Care, and Curtain Call, stacking up a wild mix of roles that proved how unpredictable he really was. But then came Secretary in 2002, the film that became the ultimate showcase of everything Spader had been building toward. Playing Edward Gray, a cold, obsessive lawyer who enters into a complex BDSM relationship with his secretary, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, Spader delivered a performance that was both shocking and strangely tender. In less skilled hands, Edward Gray could have easily turned into just another predator on screen. But Spader gave him layers. His restraint, vulnerability, and quiet intensity turned what could have been sleazy into something deeply human. The film wasn't just provocative, it was subversive, a darkly funny, emotional love story that challenged everything people thought they knew about dominance and connection. By this point, Spader had solidified his reputation as the ultimate explorer of erotic power and psychological obsession, Hollywood's go-to actor for roles that blurred the line between desire and control. But his range didn't stop there. In Wolf, 1994, he went head-to-head with Jack Nicholson, playing Richard, the ambitious protege who betrays his mentor and unleashes the beast within him. Pure cold corporate evil with a smirk. Then, in 2003, Spader made another sharp turn, this time to television, joining the practice as Alan Shore, the genius attorney who treated the courtroom like his personal chessboard. Morally flexible, dangerously witty, and impossible to ignore, Alan was Spader in his purest form, sharp, unpredictable, and always 10 steps ahead. Alan Shore was so magnetic that writer David E. Kelley built an entire show just for him. Boston Legal. This wasn't your typical TV lawyer. Alan was ethically unpredictable, taking cases not because they were right or wrong, but because they interested him. He treated morality like a game of strategy. Every courtroom scene became a masterclass in manipulation. He could twist words into weapons and talk his way into or out of anything. But here's what made him unforgettable. Beneath all that wit and arrogance, there was a deep loneliness, a quiet ache for someone who could see the real man behind the performance. That's where his bond with Denny Crane, played by William Shatner, hit hard. Two broken, eccentric men who found a rare kind of honesty in each other. Their friendship wasn't just funny, it was emotional, even tender at times. What Boston Legal proved was that Spader could achieve mainstream TV success without losing that weird, fascinating edge that made him special. He brought his signature intensity to primetime, and audiences couldn't get enough. Then, in 2013, Spader leveled up again with The Blacklist. As Raymond "Red" Reddington, a former government agent turned criminal mastermind, he delivered one of TV's most captivating performances. Red surrenders to the FBI out of nowhere, offering to help them hunt down the world's most dangerous criminals from his secret blacklist. Every episode turned into a battle of minds, and Spader's calm, menacing charisma made it impossible to look away. Raymond Reddington might be James Spader's most mainstream role, but make no mistake, he's still pure Spader through and through. Red is mysterious, magnetic, and endlessly talkative, but somehow every word feels like a secret worth keeping. What Spader does with him is nothing short of genius. He takes pages of heavy exposition, lines that could have been dull in anyone else's hands, and turns them into hypnotic performances. His rhythm, his pauses, the sly way he stretches out certain words like he's savoring a sip of fine wine, it's addictive. You hang on every sentence just to see where he'll take it next. The Blacklist ran for an incredible 10 seasons, over 200 episodes. That's Spader's longest-running role, and, for many, the one that finally cemented his place as a television icon. Yet, even after a decade of fame, the mystery around him only grew stronger. Off-screen, Spader is just as enigmatic as the characters he plays. He almost never gives interviews, and when he does, his answers are so carefully worded they reveal more by what he doesn't say. Ask about his process or his personal life, and he'll start talking in riddles, circling around the truth like he's teasing the audience. For Spader, acting isn't about emotion first. It's about precision. He approaches his roles like an engineer dissecting a machine, methodically searching for what makes a character tick. Every gesture, every breath, every silence, it's all calculated, and that's what makes him so mesmerizing to watch. Even after The Blacklist wrapped, James Spader remained an enigma, almost like he vanished back into the shadows he came from. No wild publicity tours, no social media presence, no desperate chase for relevance. He's the rare kind of actor who seems perfectly content letting the work do the talking. And that's what keeps him fascinating. He doesn't crave the spotlight, but somehow it always finds him. What's so striking about Spader's career is how consistent his path has been. From the 1980s to now, he's followed one golden rule: stay unpredictable. He never let Hollywood box him in, never played by the rules of fame. Whether he's a manipulative lawyer, a quiet voyeur, or a criminal mastermind, there's always that signature Spader energy, a mix of elegance, danger, and intellect that keeps audiences hooked. People who've worked with him often say he's meticulous to the point of obsession. Every detail matters: the cadence of his speech, the tilt of his head, even the smallest pause between words. It's all intentional, and that's the secret to his magnetism. He doesn't act like anyone else because he's not trying to. Decades in, Spader's legacy stands strong, not just as a performer, but as an artist who carved his own lane and never sold out. He's proof that you can be both strange and successful, both mysterious and magnetic. Hollywood has plenty of stars, but there's only one James Spader, and he's still out there somewhere, quietly choosing his next move while the rest of the industry tries to catch up. James Spader's story isn't just about acting, it's about control. Every choice he's ever made feels intentional, like a carefully drawn blueprint of a career built on curiosity instead of conformity. While so many actors chase trends, Spader chases truth. The kind that hides inside uncomfortable silences, dangerous thoughts, and characters that feel just a bit too real. He's never been the kind of performer who plays to the crowd. Instead, He builds entire worlds inside his characters' minds and then invites us to peek in, if we dare. There's something hypnotic about that precision, that sense that every blink and breath has meaning. It's not showy, it's surgical. He cuts straight into the psychology of a role, stripping away pretense until all that's left is raw, unnerving honesty. Critics still call him one of Hollywood's most fascinating mysteries, and they're not wrong. He's an actor who's managed to stay relevant without chasing fame, respected without selling an image, and loved without ever explaining himself. That's real power, the kind that doesn't need attention to exist. Now, as fans look toward what might come next, there's this electric sense of anticipation. Because with Spader, you never know what's around the corner. Maybe he'll vanish again into indie obscurity, or maybe he'll reappear in some daring, mind-bending role that leaves everyone stunned. Whatever it is, one thing's for sure. When James Spader steps on screen, he doesn't just perform, he possesses the moment. James Spader's personal life is just as private as his screen presence is intense. He's been married twice and has 3 sons, but you won't catch him parading his family through red carpets or tabloids. He keeps his world locked tight. Living in New York instead of Los Angeles already says a lot. It's a quiet rebellion against Hollywood's endless social swirl. He's openly admitted he needs solitude, that the constant mingling and small talk of the industry drains him. For Spader, acting seems to be his way of studying humanity without fully diving into the chaos of it. That's what makes him so fascinating. He gets to explore emotion and psychology through his characters while still keeping a shield up in real life. It's like he's constantly observing the world from just one step outside of it. What's truly impressive is his consistency. Over 4 decades, his choices have stayed laser-focused, smart, unpredictable, and full of edge. Even when he stepped into blockbuster territory with Avengers, Age of Ultron in 2015, he didn't phone it in. He became Ultron. Wearing a motion capture suit, Spader gave that robotic villain an eerie charm, smooth, menacing, and darkly funny all at once. His voice turned the machine into something chillingly human, a perfect mix of arrogance and intelligence that made audiences shiver. At 64, Spader stands as one of Hollywood's rarest figures, a man who built a career completely on his own terms. No gimmicks, no image management, just pure craft. Even in smaller, late-career roles, like his sly, scene-stealing turn as W.N. Bilbo in Spielberg's Lincoln, he carried that trademark Spader energy, slippery, clever, and utterly magnetic. Every time he appears, you can't help but think, this is an actor who's never pretended to be anything but himself. Through it all, James Spader has remained unmistakably himself. For over 4 decades, he's been obsessed with power, how people earn it, fake it, lose it, and use it to control others. Every one of his characters, from slick corporate snakes to broken geniuses, is tangled up in manipulation. But here's the thing, Spader never condemns them. Instead, he digs deeper, searching for the wound beneath the mask, the hidden need that fuels the chaos. He's fascinated by how people perform their identities, the roles we all play to survive and get what we want. That's why his work hits so hard. It's not just about villains or heroes, it's about the messy truth sitting somewhere between them. Spader's brilliance lies in his refusal to make things easy. He's made audiences comfortable with being uncomfortable, showing us that even the most twisted characters can have moments of real, haunting humanity. His influence runs deep across modern storytelling. You can see traces of Spader's complexity in television's great anti-heroes, Walter White, Don Draper, and so many others. The charming predator, the articulate manipulator, the flawed genius, they all walk through doors James Spader quietly opened decades ago. And as for what's next, in true Spader fashion, he's revealed absolutely nothing. That silence, that mystery, it's part of his integrity. He doesn't chase attention. He creates it by simply existing on his own wavelength. So here's to the man who made weird feel profound and darkness look elegant, James Spader, the actor who never played the game but somehow won it anyway. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one.